price of oil continues to fall below $90 a barrel for the first time since April of 13 today. And the average price at the pump continues to go down, $3.33 per gallon nationally right now. Your results, of course, may vary, but that's the lowest price we've seen in about 4 years.
Yeah, and thank you very much to all of those who tweeted in their pictures of below $3 for a gallon of gas as well. Well, how far will it fall from here is our question. Let's bring in Chris Faulkner, CEO of Breitling Energy. You got some good news for us, sir?
What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think if oil prices continue to slide, we've had the end of summer now, we've had no hurricanes. With U.S. oil production continuing to surge, I think we could see $3 or break through and see high 290s. So it's going to be an interesting time as we go into the fall and the winter.
The many times you've been with us recently, we talk about the glut that's building of oil in this country because of all the production in the northern plains right now. At some point, Mandy and I were talking about this yesterday off camera, does the price get low enough that it starts to become less of an incentive to continue to produce oil in this country? In other words, will it start to hurt some of the smaller producers out there? What do you think?
Well, I think you're right, Bill. I think we've seen now Saudi this week cut their price to Asia by $1.40 a barrel coming to the U.S. They've driven the price down now and broke through 90 for the first time in 17 months. So I think what we're going to see, this is expensive oil to bring out of the ground. We've talked about it many times on the show. This costs us about $50 a barrel to bring oil out of the ground in the United States compared to the Middle East, where it could be $8, $10, $20 a barrel. So yes, if the prices continue to come down, we could be in a scenario where the capital is not going to be available to be able to continue our oil production boom we've got in this country.
What's the pain price, do you think?
I think the pain number is $65 a barrel. And if we continue to see economics like we're seeing around the world, China's growth slowing, a global demand issue, a surplus of supply, we could test $80 before the winter hopefully saves us and oil prices begin to move back up. $80 is a pretty treacherous number. I don't want to see that number happen.
$85, but it's not 65, which you believe is the pain point, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, look, we're a long way from 65, Mandy, right? A lot of things have to happen to get us down that low, and Saudi can't drive the price down that low, and I bet when they're pushed into a corner, the OPEC member countries will have to cut production, Saudi leading the charge on that. Now, OPEC, we know, is held together by bubble gum. These guys are basically incompetent. They fight amongst each other, but the reality is they're unstable right now. They got to get their act together and get back on the same hymnal and start to look at curbing production.
Don't you think it was a weird about turn by the Saudis, though? I mean, wasn't it only back in August that they were trying to trim production, and then suddenly they're cutting prices, and now people are talking about maybe a price war to the bottom to maintain market share? I mean, what do you make of all of that?
Well, look, I think two things are happening. They're the 800-pound gorilla. They're beating on their chest to make sure everyone knows that they are still a swing producer, the only real country that can make the production and prices change one single move. I think now the real interesting fact now is Oman and Qatar are going to cut prices to outstrip Saudi's numbers going into Asia. If they do, we got a price war on our hands, and that's a dangerous situation. And then I think OPEC's got to cut production if they're going to maintain a number they can live with. Keep in mind, Saudi needs $80 oil to make their budget revenues work. So they can't cut it that far, but they don't want to be the only one cutting. They're trying to force all the other member countries to cut at the same pace, but those guys are refusing to do so because, again, there's a lot of infighting. So it's going to be interesting. Now, if Oman and Qatar decide to cut, the price war begins, and I don't know where it's going to go from there.
Very good, Chris. Always good to see you. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill and Mandy.
Chris Faulkner of Breitling Energy. Our cash